everybody, this is Molly K. Hope y'all are well. I have two stories that I want to bring to you today. Both of them are about futurism as it relates to childbirth and birth control. The takeaway from this is there is an effort to control who is born and how they are born, because y'all know they got to control how many people walking around so they can control all the resources. Can't have the natives getting restless around here. So let's get into this story, a little bit of this story on the Atlantic. I cannot bring you the entire story because it requires me to sign up for a free trial, which I am not going to do, because these are the very people who work to um, vilify us in particular. And so I don't have any interest in giving them money to read the garbage that they put out, even though it's good, even though it may be of interest to the African American Black community. I will wait for it to come out on the Internet Archives for free. That's how I feel about it right about now. So let's get into this story. It's called A Lollipop for Birth Control. In its ideal form, a contraceptive lollipop could prevent pregnancy without messy side effects of hormonal birth control by Catherine J. Wu. So this is interesting because as a woman and as someone who has taken birth control for years and been sick, they have not invented anything that never made me sick, which is how I ended up getting my tubes tied, because I couldn't use birth control at a really early age. But I'm thankful that my body rejected it, because, you look at these young ladies today, they're all taking birth control, especially in our community, in the African American community. A lot of these young ladies are having a lot of side effects, from uh, weight, weight gain to other sorts of health issues, blood clotting, lots of just lots of side effects, headaches, migraines, um, just longer menstrual cycles or no menstrual cycles, which is not good for your body either, because you're not getting rid of the toxins and things that our body is naturally supposed to discharge on a monthly basis if our bodies function well, or as they are supposed to. So the fact that they are touting yet another form of birth control at a time when this country is basically falling apart about because, one, nobody knows who's a woman anymore. People are just like, anybody can be a woman, um, and anybody can be a man for that matter. Secondly, uh, we have this issue with trust in the medical community because of the last Lollipop episode. And so now there's this push to make things that we usually consume easier. And not that it's going to make life better. They always tell you it's going to make life better, but it never does. You can look back over the course of history and see that. So this lie is tripping me out. So this story came out on May the 2nd. So this is for a half century. Gursaran Pran Talwar has been developing what he hopes will be the next big thing in birth control. Now, y'all pay attention to the names of these people who bring in these stories, because again, it's not hardly ever our people that are practicing this stuff, that are conjuring up this stuff, that are desiring this stuff. It is them other folks. So if that is not a sign for you to cut and run and go the other way, I don't know what is. A non-Asianarian who was once the director of India's National Institute of Immunology. I don't even know what in the world a non-Asianarian is. I got to look this up. Hold on a second. What is this thing? They keep coming up with all these doggone. Mm, mm, mm. A person 90 years old, between 90 and 100 years old. What in the world? Oh my God. Okay. Whew, Lord. Okay. So getting back to the story, this old man, that's a nice way to say old man worrying about birth control, who was once the director of India's National Institute of Immunology. Talwar envisions bringing to market a new form of contraception that could block pregnancy without usual trade-offs. An intervention that's long acting but reversible, cheap, discreet, and easy to administer, less invasive than an intrusive device, and more convenient than a daily pill. Y'all know they love selling ease and comfort, ease and comfort. Um, and you never get the trade off that they tout. You still gonna be sick. It's gonna mess your body up because it's not natural. Period. It will skip messy, sometimes dangerous side effects such as weight gain, mood swings, and rare but risky blood clots and strokes. It could embody the sort of set it and forget it model that becomes a gold standard for health and, in his words, be accepted by the world over. It's over. Good night. So, what they're trying to do is create these lollipop methods for birth control in these populations or in these nations that have huge populations of people, like in India, like on the continent of Africa. It's made, these things are made in colonial or colonial conquered nations. But y'all know the end game is always eliminating us because we are the only people on earth they don't like. They can't stop us from growing. They just can't do nothing with us, and they can't figure out why they can't kill us. So they can't kill us off. They can try to do what they can to make us buy into this idea that sexual freedom and sexual liberty is good for us, and so we should be consuming their lollipop products to keep from having babies, which is not what the Most High intended. He intended for us to be fruitful and multiply in the context of having a traditional family. So we're trying to figure out a way how to live outside of the will of the Most High and do things that He didn't intend for us to do. And then we get the consequences of mood swings, blood clots, heart issues, strokes, and weight gain. So anyway, Tawar's invention is now in early stage clinical trials. If all goes well, it could become humanity's first contraceptive lollipop, one that would prevent pregnancies in a distinct way from any birth control ever cleared for human use. So this is the end because I can't read no more, but I just wanted to bring this story to you because I want you to see where things are going, and if they're going to develop this type of thing that you can take willfully, you best believe they're going to probably put it in stuff that you don't know about, that you consume, especially women. And we just need to be aware of the times that we're living in, who's creating this stuff, the rationale behind it, and stay away from it. Come out of her, my people. All right, the last story that I have is also about children, and this came from the MIT Technology Review, and it's about IV babies, designing children. So it says America's first IVF baby is pitching a way to pick the DNA of your kids. Genetic tests on embryos can predict a baby's future health. At least that's what the advertisements say. So this story came out on April 26th. And you look at the picture, y'all see who they want to design now. All right. Elizabeth Carr is head of commercial development at Genomic Prediction, a New Jersey genetic testing startup that says it will assess embryos created in IVF clinics. So their future chance of common diseases and then rank them so parents can pick one with the best future. Now, so that's basically playing God, which is a sin within itself, but y'all know how these people do. It's a controversial area that critics anguishing over the prospect of consumer eugenics. And it's kind of like I was telling you about with the other story. So that you can pick and choose who you want to design, who you want here, what types of genetics or DNA you want to be on Earth, and then you can design the other people out of existence. So don't think that just because they're doing this on the front end, they're not designing something to erase you on the back end, which is why you see all these stories about sperm count down in men and women having fertility issues. You don't think it's by accident. It's not by accident. Still, word of the company's health scores for embryos is spreading via media reports, and as the company starts to promote the test of IVF clinics and at meetings. And Carr, who is in charge of sales and marketing, may just be the perfect spokesperson. That is because she is America's first test tube baby, as the headlines shouted in 1981, when she became the first person born through in vitro fertilization. MIT Review spoke to Carr about the test and her unique background. So they have designed this woman, and then now she's created a company so she could design more people. Jesus Christ. Um, my parents explained it as we couldn't have had you without some special, very special doctors in science, says Carr. One prominent memory is attending a screening of the Nova documentary that captures scenes of her birth. She was seated between Howard and Georgiana Jones, the IVF pioneers who created her in a Virginia lab. I had an ongoing commentary from these two scientists explaining to a 6-year-old, now this is why we did this, and this is why we did this. Her career path. Carr first became a health journalist, spending 15 years at the Boston Globe, where she covered the Boston Marathon bombings and first face transplant. I had my first press conference when I was 3 days old, she says. I always had reporters asking me questions, and I was like, I could do a better job. Later, she moved into ghost writing and marketing for IVF clinics. IVF procedures typically generate several embryos in a lab. The company says its genetic test can help parents pick which has the lowest chance of a dozen common diseases and try to use that one to get pregnant. The test work by measuring thousands of individual genetic differences, resulting in what's known as a polygenic score. Testing an embryo cost about $1,000. This was not even in the realm of possibility when I was born, and it's also really exciting, says Carr. So anyway, I just wanted to show you that basically these people are playing God now. Not that they haven't always been, but it's just at a whole other level. And it's just crazy. This over here, there's a story. The first babies conceived with a sperm injecting robot have been born. So the reason that I like to read this is because they talk about things that they're not talking about anyplace else, but it's the future, and they're talking about it. They've been working on it, and they will share their what they perceive as progress. Um, in spaces like these where it's safe, and they don't have to worry about the backlash. Not that they care, because they are going to do whatever they want to do anyway. But these stories just reflect the sign of the times, how man is mingling and mixing and doing the same things that they did, that made God destroy the earth in the beginning. So Yah is not pleased with us. He is not pleased with this nation. He is not pleased with these people who are doing this. Although he's allowing it to happen, there's going to be a day that comes that we're going to have to pay for uh, allowing this to happen, for supporting and condoning these people who engage in these practices, and because we willfully participate in some of these activities in order to um, engage in things that the Most High does not want us to engage in. So the takeaway is pay attention to technology, especially biotechnology, because there are a lot of things going on and they don't want us to figure out that they are trying to erase us, Yasharel, in particular. So every time you see a story like this and you know, it's not us writing the stories, it's not us in the pictures, it's not us that they want to design, they want to get rid of us. And so that should be in the forefront of every African American person's mind, or, you know, just uh, anybody of African descent who cannot pass as white. I don't care how tokenized you become. I don't care how much you assimilate. They are never going to accept you. They don't want you. Your DNA is better, it's stronger. They need our DNA in order to exist. And I don't know why they think that they're going to be able to design them a person that's not gonna die, because they're gonna die. They can't play God. They cannot live forever. God don't want us to live forever. If he would have, he would never cursed Adam and Eve. So it's just some weird times we're living in, and I question a lot of the science that we've been taught to believe in these days, because everything is just so bad. I know some people disagree, especially if you work in the medical community, especially if you um, you know, just trust everything that somebody introduces as good without looking 15, 20, 50 years down the road to see how it impacts us. And birth control is a prime example. You know, like I said, from my personal experiences, when I took birth control, it didn't necessarily make me gain weight, but it made me severely sick. I could not eat. I couldn't, you know, hardly stand up when I took it. Sometimes I had migraines so bad when I had, you know, things implanted in my body that I would have to go and get shots in the emergency room, you know, the entire time of my menstrual cycle, because I was so sick. And finally, one doctor was like, you need to get that stuff out of your body. He was like, your body cannot stand it. He's like, your body is telling you, it's rejecting this stuff. And so you shouldn't leave it in there. You need to get it taken out. And so I went to my doctor and took it out, and I had to beg and plead to, you know, get something else done. But I had been having issues since I was a teenager. I was put on birth control early just to regulate my menstrual cycle, because my body was so messed up, and I would have menstrual cycles for weeks and just be weak. So they started me on them to uh, stop it. But then, you know, as I got older and living outside of the Most High, and um, just being grown in the streets, I decided to take birth control as a method to not have any children. Um, and there's a price to pay for that. Like we you know, think about the good time. Oh, I'm free, I can do whatever. But eventually there's a cost associated with trying to do stuff outside of the will of the Most High, and use our bodies in ways that were not, they weren't designed to be used. And so we end up having to suffer the consequences for that. And so I ended up having a lot of issues over the years with birth control that led to me having to have a partial hysterectomy. And again, while I did gain some weight, I haven't gained nearly as much weight as young girls are today. You look at some of these young girls and they are like huge, breast huge, stomachs big, just everything just big and out of proportion. And you wonder why. And a lot of times it's because of the birth control they use. They've been using birth control for a long time. And some of this stuff is put in our food. Some of these ingredients and chemicals that are put in birth control are also put in our foods. They're sterilizing us and causing us to gain weight. So, we really need to be cognizant of what we consume. We need to try to get back to living the way that the Most High desire for us in particular to live, and leave these people stuff alone. Come out of Babylon, because Babylon trying to kill us in every way possible, and we just still clinging on to it like it's a life raft. So, just be mindful. Read these stories. Don't shy away from science and technology, because science and technology is the future, and the future is now. Like they're using this stuff now, preparing to use it on us right now. So as you see this 90-year-old man in a lab somewhere trying to control who is born, and got the audacity to be trying to curve the population on behalf of his pappy, we got to be aware and understand that we have to stay away from these people. There's a reason that the Most High separated us in the Bible and had us live away from other people, because they live wickedly. They live in ways that we're not meant to live. And when we try to live like them, we end up suffering the consequences, whether it's socially, whether it's morally, whether it's culturally, whether it's medically, financially. We just not meant to live the way that they live. And so we are in dire straits because of our love affair with Babylon. So women, take this story and share it with your female relatives, especially young women who are consuming birth control, and try to get people to just abstain. Like at this point, it is really no need in even being bothered because we have Babylon mindsets, and we're not going to change. We are still trying to figure things out and live how this society wants us to live, which is the Antichrist society, and not how the Most High wants us to live. And as long as we're doing that, as long as we're here, we're not going to be healthy. We can't heal. We can't do what He wants us to do, because you're always competing with this society, and they're going to make you feel bad for not wanting to live the way that the Most High wants us to live. So, study your word, continue to pray, repent, seek the Most High for wisdom and guidance and discernment in this hour. And I would just say be wary of anything that the dominant society presents. It's time to stop consuming stuff from them. Get you some books, learn how to take care of yourself, learn how to live separate and set apart. And that way, a lot of these issues you won't have, because you won't need birth control if you're not, um, being intimate outside of the will of God. You won't need to be concerned about your children, because if you pick, the proper mate in the way that the Most High taught us to, you won't have to worry about having designer children, because you'll have the family that He intended for you to have. So that's all I got on this video, y'all. Please leave your comments below. Like this video, share it, subscribe to the channel. Also subscribe to my Odyssey channel in the event this channel goes down. Again, study science, study biotech, not because you want to participate in it, but you need to know what they're planning for the future, because the future includes not having Black people in it. Understand that you're always not wanted. So if you think you're wanted, think again. All right, I'm Marley K, and I'm out.